disrupt yourself? How will you disrupt yourself? How will you disrupt yourself? On today's show,
it can be really stressful and hard at times because you have to go through a ton of edits and like back and forth between what they want you to post. You have a lot of talking points, so it can be very, very stressful. Brand deals are definitely very stressful, but they're super fun. Mm-hmm. There's like little tiny balance.
Welcome to the Disrupt Yourself podcast, where we provide strategies and advice on how to climb the S-curve of learning in your professional and personal life, disrupting who you are now to slingshot into who you want to be. I'm your host, Whitney Johnson. Today, our guest is Klailea. She is a popular influencer on YouTube and Instagram, and she and I sat down and had a conversation about what is it like to be an influencer, what is it like to live your life out loud, and we also talked about how she's going to put her life on hold, or at least it's going to change dramatically for the next 18 months as she serves a mission in Brazil. I loved speaking to her, and I think you will enjoy the conversation as well. So Klailea, you have a wildly popular lifestyle vlog, YouTube and Instagram channel. How old were you when you started, and how did you get the idea to do this vlog?
So it actually started with our family channel. But before that, my dad was doing YouTube for one of his businesses. And then he realized that he was at a YouTube convention and realized that you can make money as a YouTuber. And my mom, I'm pretty sure at the time, was looking for a job, maybe just something to do, because I think most of us were in school. And my dad told her about that, and they started our family channel, which is the Ohana Adventure, in, goodness, it's been a long time. I want to say 2017 or 2016. So it's been a long time. I think I was 11 years old, almost 12 when we started, if I'm doing the math right, something like that. And then when we started that, I've always loved being in front of a camera, or always loved acting. And so after we had done our family YouTube channel for about 2 years, I was begging my family to let me start one. And they told me once I learned how to edit and come up with ideas on my own, then they'd allow me to start a YouTube channel with my sister. So we started our channel together. I actually don't know how long ago that was, probably 6 years ago-ish. And then after that, after about a few years, we decided to split the channel because I'd be going off to college eventually, or just starting my life a little separately from her. So we wouldn't always be together. And that's how I started mine.
That's so interesting. So you wanted to start your own, and your family's is called Ohana. Is it Ohana? Is that how you pronounce it? Okay.
Yeah, the Ohana Adventure.
All right. So you're begging your parents, let me start my own channel. And they say, you've got to learn how to edit on your own, and you have to come up with your own ideas.
Yes. They wanted me to just be able to hold myself up, because if I were to start a channel, that's a lot of work. And they were already doing their work. And so they wanted me to be a little bit more independent in it and be able to, like I said, hold myself up.
All right. So you've got some delightful videos like trading diets with your sister, trading diets with your dad, your New Year's party that your parents didn't know about. How do you get ideas for what you want to do?
Honestly, it's kind of I guess, spur of the moment. It's kind of an in the moment thing. For some videos, I'm looking at YouTube and what is trending for other influencers like me, and seeing what's trending for them and kind of doing something similar, because then it can kind of help both of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then some of them are just cool, fun skit ideas that I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is something that a lot of teenagers either struggle with or do. Like I did a series called How Siblings Argue or Fight. I don't actually know how I started that one, like where the idea came from, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that every single family is going to deal with. right? Every sibling argues or fights at some point in their life. And so I was like, this is a perfect relatable content topic. And so I thought it'd be really cool and something that other people can, like I said, relate to. But other than that, I'm not really sure where I get my ideas. It's just like a little idea that pops into my head that I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Sure, let's try it.
Mm. And now your brain is filtering for it constantly, right? So what could be interesting, what could be fun, and you've been doing it for 5-6 years, so you're constantly thinking about it. All right. So how long does it take you to make one of your 10 to 15 minute videos? Does it take you 2 hours, 6 hours? How much time do you spend?
It actually really depends. There are some videos that are a vlog video of my day or my week. So evidently that's going to be an entire day or an entire week, but it's only a couple clips each day. For a day vlog, it's a couple clips every couple hours. But a skit video, like the ones that you mentioned, those more skit videos, they probably take around, I want to say those ones took maybe 5-ish hours altogether just on filming. Because we film and then I have to go over all the footage, organize the footage, and yeah.
Are you still doing all your own editing, or have you started to hire some of that out?
Our entire family hired out because I am filming anywhere from 2 to 5 videos a week, and also trying to still have a social life and going through college. So I still have to have some time available for myself to do other things other than YouTube. So we have hired out.
All right. So what do you do on Instagram that's different from what you do on YouTube? How do you think about what you're going to put on Instagram versus YouTube?
Oh, that's a good question. It's really making me think of like how I do it, because it's kind of more just autopilot kind of. But I think I actually so I post a lot of reels. I post around 2 reels a day, 1 to 2 reels a day. And I actually spend hours probably on reels. Now, I'm not just scrolling just to scroll and pass time. I actually am just scrolling to find different ideas for myself, and I look at what is, just like my YouTube, I see what is relatable, maybe some things that I want other people to hear. Like if I see a really inspiring reel that really helped me or really got me thinking, I'm like, oh my goodness, I like that. I kind of want to do something similar. And I kind of come up with my own message. And so I'm really just trying to find ways to help others or make relatable content and stuff like that.
You actually raised a really good, you started to answer a question that I hadn't thought of asking, which is, you said that you wanted to start doing this because it was fun and you like to be in front of a camera. And of course that's a great reason to want to do it. How has your why for doing this morphed over the past few years? Why else do you do this?
I think I like to bring awareness because for so long, YouTube, Instagram, just the social media presence has been looked at very differently. Most people will see some of their favorite YouTubers and they'll be like, oh my gosh, they're always so positive, or their life is like so perfect almost. And they're not saying it in like a rude way, but more like a, dang, I really wish that my life was as amazing as theirs is. And I am also very guilty for this because I still see other YouTubers and influencers that I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I could be more like that. And so I like to post a lot more real, raw content, I like to call it, of what's really going on, kind of just bring awareness and show other people that I'm not perfect. I have my struggles. I have my down days or my times when I'm struggling just like other people. So in what I had said earlier of how I like to be relatable, I like to be relatable not only in funny like skits and situations that we all go through, but also like showing that I'm just like they are. And I also struggle basically.
Mhm. Right. Okay. So what you're saying, I think I hear you saying, is that you want to uplift people and have them feel a sense of optimism, but you do that by being willing to show a lot of your life and not just the upbeat parts, but the struggles as well. So they feel connected to you.
Yes, absolutely. I started getting more into this
Mm-hmm.
because I got a ton of comments of people being like, "Wow, you're always so positive," or "You're always kind of just the always something."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "I'm not actually." So I just started showing a little more
Mm-hmm.
of the real side of me because I realized that I was only showing maybe a second of like my entire day of what's going on. And so I wanted to show them
Yeah.
a little more of my
It
life.
it is a challenge, isn't it, Klailea? Because on the one hand, you want to be positive and upbeat, but I remember when I was writing my last book and I was talking about, growth and what this looks like, and I had a couple of people read it and say, "This is too chirpy. It's too chirpy. You need to
Mhm.
talk about some of the struggles." And so I purposely went back and included some of that. And then the question is how do you include the struggle without it being TMI and finding that balance? And it sounds like you've figured that out, but it is something to be figured out.
Yeah, I think it's a day to day or minute to
Mhm.
minute basis of whether or not to film or show that. And sometimes I will show or I'll say something that I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know if I should say that." And later on, I'll go in and be like, maybe we'll take this out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Yeah. So I suspect you have people that come to you pretty frequently and say, Klailea, I want to do what you're doing. I want to be an influencer. I want to put my content out in the world. And so for someone who's listening, either for themselves or for someone around them that wants to start doing this, do you have any suggestions for how to get started?
I say the one thing I tell everybody is consistency is key. And that can
Mm,
mean like so many different things. In YouTube, if I have friends that are coming to me and are like, "Hey, like I really want to start a YouTube channel. What are some tips or what are some things I should know?"
mhm.
Consistency. Um, Being consistent so that your viewers know and can like trust you basically on
Yep.
what you'll be posting.
Mhm.
But then also in consistency, kind of like creating those habits in yourself, like having that idea or that person that you want to become, whether that's in the business you want to start, like what you were saying with YouTube or doing what I'm doing, basically, kind of having that picture and that idea and just trying to form those habits and those goals that work towards that, but then still staying consistent,
Mhm.
enduring
Yeah.
through it, and just keeping strong.
Yeah, interesting. So you had your parents who were modeling how to do this because you saw them do this and you were doing this as a family. So you had a little bit of a vision of what you wanted. But what you're saying is once you decided to do this, you needed to be consistent. And consistent can mean you do it once a month, but everybody knows you're going to do it once a month, or
Mhm.
it's twice a week or 3 times a week. But whatever cadence you set, you stick to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. So you've done a number of influencer campaigns over the past few years. Who have you done some of your campaigns with and what did you do? What did that look like?
I've done a ton of, we call them brand deals with a bunch of different companies. Off the top of my head, the only ones I can really think of are, I think one of them was Amazon. I've
Mhm.
done some stuff with Netflix or Sony. Um, and I'll just say it's super exciting because it's something I grow up either watching, like watching stuff that Sony produces or that Netflix is putting up, or like a store that I shop at almost every single week on like Amazon. So for me, it's just really cool, and it's a crazy realization
Mhm.
that like wow, like this is my life. Like I get to do these things that I kind of have always, I guess in a way you could say dreamed of without realizing I dreamed of it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Kind of like a lot of maybe Disney stars or movie stars. I've heard a few that'll say like, "Oh my goodness, I always dreamed of like being a Disney princess," and then now they're a Disney princess.
Yeah.
And so in a way, I'm like a small bit of that.
Now
Uh,
you're a YouTube princess.
what?
You're a YouTube princess.
Yes, yes, we can. Maybe that'll be Disney's next next release.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's just really cool.
Mhm.
And I feel like it gives myself a little pat on the back. Not in a
Mhm.
cocky way or anything, but just like a wow, like, good job, Clay. Like, you've gotten to this point, and kind of a reward for myself. It can be really stressful and hard at times because you have to go through a ton of edits and like back and forth between what they want you to post. You have a lot of talking points. So it can be very, very stressful. Um, brand deals are definitely very stressful, but they're super fun. It's
Mhm.
just it's there's like little tiny balance, but yeah,
Yeah, it's validating. Plus, they pay you to do it, and getting paid to do the work that you love to do is always a good thing.
absolutely.
So when you live a lot of your life out loud in the public eye, and so you're continually, making these videos, etc. How is being an influencer help you live your real life differently or better?
Um, it definitely makes me very positive for the opportunities I've been given
Mhm.
and makes me very, very grateful. But there's also a lot of um, hard parts to it, I
Mhm.
think, because I'm always trying to kind of see what's the next best thing that I can be posting. And there's kind of always this never ending finish line almost
Mhm.
to me, it feels like. But I'd say I've definitely been able to just be a lot more positive, and it's because I'm posting super happy content and stuff and like positive reels, inspirational videos. I'm also kind of consuming that in myself, if that makes sense, because I watch other people's videos, other people's motivational videos, or those kinds of videos that I am now putting up to then give me ideas and give me inspiration for myself to then be posting. And so in that process, it's kind of just making me be a little bit more of a
Yeah.
grateful, um, productive, and motivated person, basically.
So you're priming your brain continually to be positive. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
So, who is a role model for you? Who's influencing you?
Ooh, I've got to say my mom and my dad, of course, because they're doing exactly what I'm doing, but on a higher level, obviously. And I just love watching how my mom does it because she does also have 6 kids and she's homeschooling. And then on top of that, she has the Ohana Adventure. So she's running a full-time business, and I just love seeing how she's able to multitask, how she's able to just get everything done in her day and just where she's at, basically. And it's very inspiring for me.
Mm. Mm. All right. So you were a student at Southern Virginia University, which is how I met you. What are you studying?
I am currently studying psychology, but I wasn't actually studying that at first. I actually started out with business because I have this YouTube channel. I've got basically a business ready and set out for me. And so I figured, you know what? Let's go to college. Let's learn some more things about business. But in that process, I realized that it it was a means to an end, if that makes sense. My YouTube channel is something that I love doing right now, but it's kind of the starting path and the gate to other opportunities for me. And I've always loved psychology. I think it was 7th grade. My mom had the typical "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Like, I'm going into 7th grade, back to school type of photo. And I think on it I put I wanted to become a psychologist. And once I got into college, I realized, well, once I was in college, I was like, oh, yeah, like, I'm doing business, but if I didn't already have a plan set out for me, I'd totally do psychology. And then one day it switched, and I realized, why not just do psychology?
Mhm.
You know?
Do you know what you want to do with it?
I'd like to become a therapist, maybe a life coach. I'm not completely sure, but I know that I think I want to become a psychologist. Or
Mm.
sorry, a therapist.
Therapist. Mm. All right. So in just a few weeks, you are going to be going on a mission to Brazil. And what are you going to do? Are you going to be vlogging on your mission, or is that TBD?
I think it's in between. It's kind of a little TBD. Um, we're not completely sure because it is kind of up to the mission president. In a sense. I am going to be vlogging all of it, but whether or not that's being posted, whether or not I'm like using it for my YouTube channel, that'll be decided. I would love to. I think it's an awesome idea to like kind of just spread awareness and show others that, you know, the way that missionaries do what they're doing. Because I think that there can sometimes be a little bit of this image put on it that isn't always true. So I just want to bring awareness and show how amazing and fun it can be.
So this means presumably that you're going to forego a fair amount of income. Was it difficult to make the decision to forego that for a few years?
It definitely was, because this is something I've been doing, like I had said, for
Most of your life,
years.
a third of your life at this point.
Yeah, for basically since I can remember. I remember parts of before we had a YouTube channel, but most of what I can remember is us being on a camera. So it's a very, very big life change, like switch. So it was very hard, but actually, no, it was actually really, really easy to make the decision because I knew that a mission was what was for me, and I knew that I would get blessings from it. But I think as I'm coming up to the point of leaving, it's really, really hard for me now being able to have that faith that everything will still work out.
All right. So like, oh, I'm really going to do this.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So, Klailea, where can people find you? I think I know where they can find you, but just for our listeners who have not been introduced to your work yet, tell us where you can be found.
So I have a YouTube channel, which is my name, Klailea. And then I also have an Instagram, which is also Klailea.
Can you spell it, please?
Yes, it's Klailea.
How did you get that name?
It is French mixed with Hawaiian. I'm not completely sure of the story because I just can't remember it completely. But I think that my dad had met somebody or had heard the name similar to Klailea in France, and then they mixed Hawaiian into it somehow. I don't really remember.
It's a mishmash. All right. So second to last question for you today is something that I ask at the end of every podcast is, what was something that was useful to you in this conversation? What did you learn? And it could be something that you said. It could be something that I said. It could be just an idea that you had as a consequence of having this conversation. But what stuck for you?
I think whenever I talk to people about what I'm doing, I get so in my head and so in the work of YouTube that I don't realize until I talk to other people or I just say it out loud how amazing like of a life I get to live, the amazing opportunities I have. Now, obviously, YouTube has its downfalls, as does everything, but it definitely has so many positives and so many amazing parts to it. To me, having a YouTube channel and living an online life, I guess, that is just really awesome to have the opportunities that I get to have and kind of choose my path, choose where I want to go, because you are basically owning your own business. Obviously, YouTube is owned by it's an owned company, but us having our YouTube channel, you get to choose when you post, what you want to post. So you get all of this freedom. And so it's really awesome to get to choose what I want to do, where I want to go, and all that.
So what you're saying is that being able to take a minute, talk about it, it allows you to zoom out and reflect and say, oh, wow, this is what I get to do. And just to look at it from a slightly different perspective. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
It was great talking to you, of course. This has been so much fun. So thank you for letting me be a part of this. But yeah.
You're welcome. And best of luck. So when do you leave on your mission? What day?
I start the 1st of August.
Okay. Very exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a delightful human being. Here are 3 major takeaways. Number 1, give people an opportunity to take ownership of their lives. Did you notice how when Klailea went to her mother and said, I want to start a YouTube channel, her mother didn't say, no, you can't, you're too young. She said, yes, as soon as you learn how to edit. I think there's a great lesson here for us, whether it's our children, whether it's people who work with us or for us, to say, yes, absolutely you can do this as soon as X, Y, or Z happens. It's a yes and. Number 2, we dream so our children can dream. In my very first book, Dare, Dream, Do, Remarkable Things Happen When You Dare to Dream, I wrote and interviewed a number of people who were figuring out how to dream. This idea of if we want our children to dream, we dream ourselves. It's not lost on me that Klailea, when I asked her who influences her, she said, my mother. She was watching her mother start a YouTube channel. What did that look like? And Klailea thought, I can do that too. She was dreaming because she saw her mother dream. Number 3, if you want to live a positive, happy life, play a happy life on YouTube. There is a wonderful quote from Meister Eckhart, and he said, when the soul wishes to experience something, she or he throws an image of the experience out before her and enters into her own image. If you can picture yourself doing something, then you can do it. There may be many reasons that you will want to start a YouTube channel or something on Clubhouse or LinkedIn or Instagram or a podcast, whatever that may be. But one lesson or one valuable outcome for me certainly has been, and I think as Klailea said, is when you're living your life out loud, it allows you to reinforce what you're learning, this idea of a happy life, but it also, there's an inherent accountability in it. And so if you want to live a happy life, play one on YouTube or on TV. If you want more about making dreams possible, I would encourage you to listen to my interview with Buster Scher, who started out as an entrepreneur as a teenager. You may also want to listen to the episode with Mark Metry. And if you're a parent and you want to think about how can I help my children dream, I would suggest you listen to the episode with Brooke Romney. Thank you again to Klailea for joining us. Thank you to you for listening. Thank you to Justin LaVrier for producing this podcast. Thank you to Stephanie Brummel, our production assistant, and to Nicole Pellegrino, production coordinator. I'm Whitney Johnson, and this is Disrupt Yourself.